right, so for my science communication project, I decided to do a podcast with my brother. We're on our way back from home. His name is Angelo. He's a psychology major here at CU. But I wanted to see if I could explain what a black hole was to him in 5 minutes. So, what do you think a black hole is? Like when for hearing from the news or whatever, what do you think it is?
Basically, to my understanding, I don't know a lot about astronomy, so all I know it is just this giant black, basically what it sounds like, black hole that just kind of sucks things in and they disappear forever. That's literally my knowledge of it, so I'm pretty uneducated.
That's pretty, yeah, I mean, that is ultimately kind of what it is. It basically, you got to think of, if we need to get off of Earth like a rocket, we need to put X amount of fuel so we can achieve a velocity or speed that will escape Earth's gravity. So that is called an escape velocity, that limit. And so, but what happens when you up the mass of Earth? You need to have a higher escape velocity. And so, if you were to up the mass of Earth to where that escape velocity was the speed of light, then even light can't, get off of it, then you've now created a black hole because light can't escape it. And that's just, that's pretty much like basic of a black hole. And there's two types of a black hole. There's one that is stationary, and stationary ones are kind of they're just kind of boring. They just kind of sit there and they'll suck stuff in. But when they rotate, they have really, really, really cool characteristics where they will send jets, because since it's rotating, right, you have particles and whatnot going into the black hole, and they're going at a certain curvature around, so they might be at the exact point where they don't go in the black hole, they just skim past it. But when they do, since gravity is so high, it goes 0.9999% of the speed of light. So it's really fast, and doing so, it creates really high energy jets that shoot out of either side of it. And that's just what happens when it rotates. When it doesn't rotate, it doesn't create jets because of it. And a lot of wonky things can happen when you're near a black hole, and that's just because of how gravity affects space-time. And just like our world, gravity in our daily lives, gravity will have time distortions, with satellites and whatnot. There is a time delay based because we're closer to the Earth's core than the satellite is, so it's going to have a time delay. But yeah, when you're at a black hole, that time delay is such a great factor that it can be years or whatever. So the movie Interstellar, when they go down to that planet, the gravity's so high there that essentially their time, the time it takes for their light to move through space-time is slower compared to an outside observer. And that's shown. He spent 27 years or whatever in the spaceship. But you can, one of the weird things about a black hole is you would assume, do you think a large, a really, 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 really big black hole would be less safe or more safe than a small black hole?
Probably less safe. I feel like a larger black hole would suck in more, be more deadly than the other ones. I feel just because the mass of the thing would just be, it'd be easier to take in more larger objects or larger things when it comes by near. It just have a more gravitational thing towards it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that incorrect?
Yeah, it's actually counterintuitive. It's when you have a small black hole, then it different, so say that you were laid out, black holes right here, and you're laid down right here next to the black hole. If it's really, really a small black hole, all of that gravity is centered right there, and your head is going to feel a stronger pull than your feet is because it's closer to the center of the black hole.
Right.
So if you have a bigger one, that core, I guess you could say, the center of gravity is expanded a little bit more. So the tidal forces is what it's called, when the difference in gravitational pull based on your distance. So your head is going to feel less than your feet. But bigger one, it's gonna be like your head is still gonna feel less than your feet, but not by a noticeable much.
Okay.
And if it's a really small one, then you're just gonna you'll just be ripped up in half repeatedly. Like you'll rip at your waist, and then your legs rip in half, and then your chest rip in half, and it'll just be really bad. But
So is that because they all have like the same gravitational force on them, and they're just in different sizes?
yeah, and like
Okay.
I mean, like the gravitational constant was discovered by Newton, and that's
Okay.
like a pretty decent estimate. It was later like revised by Einstein with his theories of general and special relativity,
Okay.
and that pretty much just says that like there are constants in our universe, like the speed of light, that does not change no matter what. But there are things that are like relative to us, and that can be like two events happening at quote unquote at the same time. We won't be able to see that, and all of these things are effects from gravity, because they will stretch and expand space-time. So that affects time, which is relative to us.
Okay.
But yeah, they have the same gravitational constant. They just have more mass, so their gravitational force that they exert on other things is going to be bigger or smaller.
Okay.
And when you if you were to fall in a black hole, and you watched me, you would just sort of see me fall, and then once I hit the event horizon, is what it's called. It's that's quote unquote surface of black hole. Once you hit that, you can't, no information can come out, because the escape velocity is faster than the speed of light. So no light.
Oh, so nothing's coming out.
No light can. Yeah. So once you hit that surface, if I were to hit the surface, all you would see is just me stop in time, pretty much, because that gravity is so strong and stretching out my light time, whatever, my life, whatever light is being reflected back to you, it's being stretched so much because of the escape velocity that it'll never reach you.
Okay.
So you just see me stop and freeze, and probably turn a little bit red, because when gravity acts on things, or when you move away from something really fast, you red shift, and then when you move towards something, blue shift. So
Oh, that's a thing?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so stars, when you look at really far out stars that zoom past you, or that are going away from you, they'll look more red, and if they're coming towards you, they'll look more blue.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
On their spectrum, at least.